You're listening to Ecosysteming, the podcast redefining economic development through the lens of equitable entrepreneurship. Join NC Idea as we engage with entrepreneurs and experts who are challenging the status quo and driving lasting change.
Welcome, viewers and listeners, to the Ecosysteming podcast. I am your host, Tom Rue, and today I am joined by rich novated Gilliam, founder of STEM Plug, a company committed to advancing STEM education, igniting an entrepreneurial spirit, and building brains beyond books. Rich, first of all, welcome.
I appreciate it.
Awesome to have you here.
It's an honor.
Let's start. What is building brains beyond books? What does that even mean?
Building beyond books, I would say, is really a saying we like to say of like helping kids think critically, right? So a lot of things within education and schools sometimes are very just straight to the point. Kids may just be learning about a particular subject, but how can they really relate it to their everyday life? So one of the big things that is important with STEM Plug is helping kids see how if you're learning science, technology, engineering, and math, this isn't just a concept that you're learning in school, but this is something that is going around you in your everyday life. And it makes it more believable. It helps with that social emotional connection. So it just really helps with that confidence. That is our driver, is helping kids with their confidence.
Are there disparities? I mean, I almost feel silly asking this question because I'm gonna guess the answer is yeah. But are there disparities in STEM education today? Like, can your STEM education vary by where you live, your family's background, level of income,
Yeah.
other extenuating circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say there are disparities, right? And I can talk about, the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia. And just the environment that I grew up in really had a lack of access to things that within STEM to compare to maybe an environment that wasn't particularly within that inner city environment. So all of those things really come into play and can affect, I would say, uh, the way that something that a child can maybe connect with from every day to day, pretty much.
Okay, well, you said inner city Philly,
Hmm.
yet you did manage to become an automation engineer.
Yeah.
So how, despite growing up inner city Philly,
Yeah.
how is it that you found that field that
Yeah.
to the point it resonated with you and
Yeah.
that professionally you achieved that?
Man, so that goes into the journey right there, right? So the journey of one of the biggest things for me that has really helped me strive into the right directions are, mentorships, right? Mentorships that have really helped showed me different environments that I wasn't used to. So for example, like even my 12th grade year, I got introduced to an organization called 100 Black Men in Philadelphia that really started to expose me to a lot of things that I've never seen before. And then from there, I came to North Carolina and studied at St. Augustine's University, studied biology. And one of the things that I noticed for me was I had a mind switch, right? In my head. I like to say sometimes when you are exposed to another environment, it can really open up a whole nother world for you.
Sure
Right.
can.
So I came from a world and still took my experience and really my grittiness of coming from where I came from. But I started to be exposed to other environments, and I started to have people really believe into the person that I was and show me different things that I didn't even know about. So that turned me into a lifetime learner from there and really took me on my journey to, studying sciences and engineering, and then wanting to be an engineer to really just continue on that path pretty much.
Is there something like with the profession that you perceived that's just kind of clicking with your mindset,
Yeah.
or was that like the background of the mentor who kind of put you on that path?
Nah, not even. So for me, my first interest of me getting into STEM honestly came from a high school project that had to do my 12th grade year. I had to do a high school project to graduate, and I decided to do that project on kidney disease. My aunt had kidney disease my entire life, and she passed away before I got to high school. But doing that project made me actually, research and actually like reconnect with her. And I also noticed how science affects the body, right? But I was able to correlate it now to my everyday life because my aunt had kidney disease.
Right.
So like I said, that was that really
Real for you.
that was that real thing kind of for me. And then when I went to undergrad to school, um, I was trying to wonder like what exactly do I want to study in school. And I remember having a conversation with my mom, and my mom was like, maybe you should study biology. You liked it doing that project on kidney disease. And I was like, all right, I'll just do it. And then it just kind of continued. I had a professor then my freshman year at St. Augustine's University that really helped me see how science connects to my everyday life, the way that she was teaching biology and the subject and different things like that. And I just became a lifetime learner from there, right? It just became from there. I just wanted to continue to learn, doing internships even in the summer. And yeah, it's crazy how fast the years can go by on different things, and as you go through like different stages of career and different things. But yeah, that's kind of how everything kind of came together with that.
It's bittersweet to hear you talk about St. Aug, that
Yeah,
you had such a great experience there and the
yeah,
difficulties it's trying to overcome right now with such a heralded 160-year career. I just think how many other Rich Gilliams did St. Aug's, put on this path.
yeah,
I think you actually honor the university and the memory of the university in being this best version of yourself.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
good on you for doing that.
yeah. No, I really appreciate that, and I'm someone that is like, I live my life by the quote is the journey is the destination, right? And I've been through so many stages within my life and within my journey, and each part of that journey has been important to the next, right? And like I said, that change of environment really, for me, coming from uh Philly to North Carolina, like I can't even explain it, right? So that really goes into the work that I'm doing with STEM Plug, of where I know if I can have these outlooks that's happened to me later in my life, what's the outlook that I can give a kid if I can help them in elementary school? I can now change maybe their whole entire family generation.
Sure.
So
I want to be clear on something because it just slid right by. Are you suggesting there's a slight cultural nuance difference between Philadelphia and North
I mean the
Carolina?
weather's a little different. We'll just say
Oh,
that.
yeah. The kid from the North Coast of Cleveland, Ohio. I'm right there with you. I joke, but I think it's great that you did have that, mindset shift.
Yeah.
Clearly in the work that we do, we see that too. And that's why our kind of top level program that's frankly available to the public,
Mhm,
we call mindset because it's all
mhm,
about entrepreneurial mindset, right? Which changes that, first of all, your sense of agency and your locus of control. And I think your engineering background probably has a lot to do with your entrepreneurial inspiration.
yeah,
I've been in this business long enough to know that some of the more prestigious entrepreneurship programs at the collegiate level are actually in colleges of engineering.
yeah,
Because, you think about it in engineering, you have a lot of like scientific method and problem solving skills. And, it, things are problems to be figured out. Engineers are good at that,
yep,
right?
yep,
And that's why I think you see a lot of that. But you bankrolled that to also getting yet another educational attainment. That's your Master of Arts
mhm.
at a little school not too far from here in
Yeah,
Chapel Hill.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, I think you're about to graduate.
uh,
Why would you do that? Like, what
yeah,
propels you to say, hey, I really need now to add this,
yeah,
credential to
yeah,
my CV?
yeah. Now I'm glad you asked that, and just kind of going back into the engineering part that you said. One of the things that I'm like grateful for, like my experience that I've had through my studies and early career as an engineer, is just having the ability to critically think and think in systems. So one of the reasons why I actually decided to go to UNC was, I already established STEM Plug, probably for about 2 years. I've had STEM Plug established before I went to UNC. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to do is I had the technical background as an engineer and as in robotics, but I didn't have that education background. So I wanted to really merge the two. I wanted to take the technical background that I had, and now how can I now bridge educational standards around the work that I'm doing? So now this can now, within education, it's all about relationships, right? Building credibility. So I knew me doing this program with my background as a problem solver, critically thinking, that technical background, and now I'm bridging that with education. This it'll be a great a great niche, I would
Right.
say. As well as just going into the relationships and driving the people that I've met in my studies as well. My program that I've done has been an amazing program because in our program we have like 4 different tracks. So we have the entrepreneurship track, which I'm in, and then the other 3 tracks are like an innovative specialist, which are like teachers that may have come to the program that want to now be instructional designers, different things like that. As well as you have teachers that may come into the program that want to work particularly with startups or different things like that. So now this exact program that I'm going into, this is something where I'm looking maybe 3 to 5 years of how I'm trying to build out STEM Plug. This can now accelerate the work that I'm doing. So that's what really brought me to the program, and meeting my director, Todd Turner. I have to give him a shout out.
Please.
He definitely, I met him and he sold me on the program, and I was like, this is definitely aligned with the work that I want to continue to do.
Very cool.
So
STEM Plug.
yeah.
What's the story behind the name?
What's the story? Okay, that's a great. So I would say the story behind the name is, for me, I've always seen myself as a connector, right? I've always seen myself as a connector. I've always like kind of going to, like I said, I'm a lifetime learner, so I always like going to, networking events and just learning about, maybe a different subject or what people are doing. So when I wanted to come up with the organization and I started it, I'm like, okay, I'm the plug of STEM. I'm plugging it in, right? So I look at, the work that we're doing, really plugging in that next level. Yeah.
Here's a I don't know if it's a smart question or not, but it's definitely topical these days.
Yeah.
Do you see or have you looked at any connective tissue between STEM education and the future of workforce development? Have you noticed? Have you even looked at that, or are you? Is your interventional? Where's your sweet spot from the age? Because maybe STEM plug is, from what I can determine and what I know of it, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to profess to be as much as I probably should. It seems a little bit younger
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
and I hope we're not getting to a point in the economy and society where we're worrying about how to make 9-year-olds workforce ready,
Yeah.
going back to the
Yeah.
good old days of children's sweatshops. But
Yeah.
I my kids grew up with this, Science Olympiad
Right.
is a national program,
Right. Right.
and they got exposed to robotics and, advanced manufacturing and all these cool things. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
a cornucopia of STEM,
Mm-hmm.
across like 40 events. And there'd be these big events on the weekends, where dozens of schools would compete and put
Mm-hmm.
teams out there. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw firsthand, just the way my kids now, in their late 20s and early 30s,
Yeah.
how that happened and helped them. But I'm curious if anybody that you're working with is looking at this saying, hey, a good STEM foundation is a good workforce development foundation.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, because I would definitely say, even though our goal and our ages that we're, trying to target kids at is early elementary school, starting third, fifth grade, I would say we are preparing them for the future workforce, because one of the skills, one of the biggest skills that's needed in the future workforce that a lot of people don't talk about sometimes is the ability to be able to critically think. And that is one of the biggest things that we are helping kids learn how to do, is critically think, right? If you're doing any technical job, um, in the future workforce or today, you have that ability to be able to critically think. Even though AI is really taking over in a lot of different areas, you have to know how to properly critically think and prompt correctly within AI, right? So those critically thinking skills, being able to problem solve, those are very important skills. So we're really bridging that gap at an earlier age, helping kids, helping companies, and helping kids see how they can be prepared for that future workforce at elementary school. Because I would say middle school and high school is too late. I mean, if you
Right.
have a company that has and I'm not going to name any particular company, but if you have a company that has goals that are 15, 20 years out from now, and they want to fill these different roles, I would think they have to really cater to those kids that are in elementary school,
Yeah.
right? So, and a lot of times those things get left out. But, for me, like every day, I live with so much purpose because I look at myself as bilingual. I come from different worlds, and I'm able to intersect in different worlds. Like I'm able to intersect within education, and I'm also able to intersect within industry, as from my experience as an engineer. And I hear things from education of how can we maybe get industry to be able to invest into K-12 education. And then I may hear from industry of like, oh, we'll be interested, but what's the ROI for us?
Right.
So that's where I come in, STEM Plug, we come in the middle of the work that we're doing and really showing that how there is a ROI on investing into kids starting in elementary school.
I suspect, and I am, let me make this disclaimer to the viewer looking into the camera. I am not professionally qualified to make this as a professional statement, but I would imagine just by being a parent,
Yeah.
at the age you're having this intervention, the cement is still wet,
Yep.
right? And so if you habitualize the critical thinking and you start developing the critical thinking muscle
Yep.
at that stage, I agree with you. That's going to serve them, because by the time they get to high school, habits, good and bad, are already calcifying.
Yep.
Their companies and psychologists did studies years ago about the creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and that, like, just normal regular school process actually beats creativity out of kids,
Mm-hmm.
because as they advance, they get more told that they get rewarded for following the rote process.
Mm-hmm.
Do what's expected.
Mm-hmm.
Give us expected outcomes. Don't color outside the lines. Don't think outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm getting meta now, but like when I think about the tribalism we're dealing with and the acrimony in society and humanity right now, I think a lot of that has flourished because there have been forces actively trying to suppress our innate desires to think critically.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't surrender your agency and you still exercise the critical thinking muscle, you'll pause and go, that does not make sense.
Yeah.
What you're trying to feed me does not make sense. And I'm going to reclaim some of my agency and think a little bit more for myself.
Yeah.
I think just writ large, the world would be a lot better place. But
Yeah.
I'm going to get back more specific. So the first part of this conversation
Mm-hmm.
was rightfully about STEM Plug, but we know you in a couple of different facets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have been a startup consultant fellow
Mm-hmm.
for NC Idea,
Yeah.
in addition to being a micro grant winner,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That was last year.
Yep. Yep.
And recently, a Bold Path Fellowship awardee, the ECMC Bold Path Fellowship.
Yep.
So you are like a triple, quadruple, quintuple threat of things going on and all kinds of goodness here.
Yeah.
Um, I've got the mic now, so let me just start with selfishly. what compelled you to apply for our startup consultant fellowship? Like,
Mm,
why did you have an interest in to join our little band of, merry misfits?
yeah. No, that's a great question. So for me, I am this goes back into thinking in systems, right? So before I actually applied to be a startup consultant with NC Idea, I had applied to Micro back in 2024, in the spring of 2024, and we didn't get in.
What?
We didn't get in. But one of the things that I love about NC Idea, and for any founders that are watching this, any entrepreneurs that are building, you know, you guys give feedback, right? And I'm somebody that is very coachable, so I took that feedback and I ran with it. But when I got to going back to UNC, um, as a graduate student, I had the opportunity to now be able to apply to this startup consultant role. And I seen it as an area of where, wow, this can be an opportunity. I was able to take that feedback, but this will be an opportunity for me to be able to learn firsthand from all of you all. Just
So it was intel
build,
gathering.
build relationships, build connections, as well as really learn from other startups, right? Learn from what other startups are doing, learning the market that other startups are in. I would definitely say for me, before I was a startup consultant, uh a lot of my relationships, a lot of the companies that I really knew about were like very just niche industries, right? But being a startup consultant, I was able to learn about a lot of different industries, such as like food tech. Like I was like, wow, this is cool. I didn't know how big this was in North Carolina, so it was cool being able to learn about other industries, even if it's outside of mines, and just really connecting and just building those relationships. So yeah, that's what really brought me to wanting to apply.
Well, I'd give you credit
Yeah,
for it's just smart. That's like a savvy move too, right? Like,
yeah.
what's the harm in applying? The worst we can say is no.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
obviously we didn't. And
yeah,
so you got to come over to the other side of the fence
yeah.
and have that perspective looking from over here going, oh, this is the way. I mean, because as a startup fellow, I should mention to the viewer, y'all, we have these cohorts every year and you help the team do the vetting of
Mhm,
applicants.
mhm,
And so it's not like you have to have all the answers and you don't have to be like a cashed out entrepreneur with 12 exits to do this
mhm,
because most of it's research, right?
mhm. Yep,
And doing the things that frankly, any founder needs to do and going through the steps.
yep.
So when you got the grant, you also had to then go through the programming that came with it,
Mhm,
which was predominantly focused on customer discovery.
mhm,
Did that add value, or
mhm,
was it like, yeah, okay, but I had done a lot of this
mhm.
to get to this point?
Oh, yeah. So you talking about for micro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, micro was definitely valuable. Of course, I always say, when you're in cohorts like that, the community of entrepreneurs that you may be around is huge as well. So definitely a lot of inspiring entrepreneurs, founders, and companies that were a part of the micro cohort that I was in. But definitely, I would say the customer discovery was helpful. I've done customer discovery before, but this was definitely helpful as well. Just kind of going through having the mentorships that I was able to have, those relationships really helped us drive into different areas. Also through the micro cohort, that grant funding allowed us to go to some key conferences this year to really build relationships and really understand the spectrum around in education, right? Because like I said, for me, I come from that technical background as an engineer, and now I'm bridging a lot of things within education. And one thing about me, I'm heavy on just saying when I don't understand anything, right? I'm going to conferences, meeting people, and wanting to understand the problems that people are solving. I am not a solution driven entrepreneur. I'm a problem based entrepreneur. So I'm always talking to people trying to understand the problems that they're trying to serve. So micro definitely allowed to it continue to put that fuel in my tank and also that validation for us as well.
I think whenever I meet a founder who can admit ignorance, like, I just don't know that, right? And
Yeah,
like, I'm going to look into that
yeah,
and I'm going to ask for help anymore. That I think it's a superpower
yeah,
because especially in a community like ours, this thing
hmm
of ours, as we
hmm
like to say,
yeah,
because we've invested so many years and so much money into building this very special statewide ecosystem, which you got to experience as well,
yeah,
especially at like the summits
yeah,
that we have. There's such great value to extract from the ecosystem. It
hmm
just takes a modicum, just a shred of humility,
hmm
right? To just go there and say, "Yeah, I don't know this, but also, but I do know these things, right?"
hmm
And so there are going to be people that would be anxious to follow in your footsteps,
yeah,
right? So if there's somebody watching right now
yeah,
that's, at the precipice of writing that first micro grant application,
yeah.
seeing what you've gone through and where you are on this side of that now, what would you say to them?
Man, I keep it simple and sweet. If you feel like you're not ready, you ready. I always say it's you versus you, right? And we can be our worst enemy where you can tell yourself, I'm not ready. I'm gonna just wait till next time, different things like that. But you gotta understand, like, you can't get your time back, right? And if the universe gives you an idea or a spectrum, you're being selfish if you don't actually go after it. That's how I live. I have thoughts, I'm not gonna lie, I have thoughts daily of different things that we're building and doing that scare me. I'm like, wow. But I write it down, I know it's me versus me, and I just go after it. So I'm like, if you're in that spectrum of you want to really apply to micro or you don't feel like you're not ready, you're ready. I'm telling you that right now. You can say Rich said that, you're ready.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't surprise me that we're like-minded.
yeah,
My take on that, you said it better. It's you versus you.
yeah.
My take on that has always been to say to somebody that's struggling with
Yeah,
that same dynamic,
yeah,
and I always tell them, you're only negotiating against yourself,
exactly. Yeah,
right? So this debate, this inner monologue you've got going, it's a debate with no one. You're negotiating against yourself,
yeah,
right? So I think when people see it that way, they can have that slight shift or out of body, that you can kind of step back and see you arguing against yourself and go, well, that's silly,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
let's stop holding ourselves back
yeah,
because there's plenty of things in the world that'll do that
yeah,
and try. You don't need to be one of those.
yeah. No, it's so true. And like I'm somebody that like this is how I live. So I'm somebody that like I just cut out all the noise, right? So even for me, I'll give you a perfect example. Um I don't look at anybody's like LinkedIn feed. I'm sorry. Like unless you tell me, I'll look at it. But I
What?
feel like a lot of sometimes entrepreneurs or founders sometimes can get caught up in looking at someone else's journey and then they may feel some type of way of like, hey, I'm not here. I don't feel like I can do such and such. But when you run your own race and realize like just like when you're on the highway, you got to stay in your own lane. Stay in your own lane. Your journey is for you. It's nothing that can stop you. You're the only one that can stop you. So
That reminds me of a card someone once gave me. It said, may your life be as interesting as you portray it on Facebook. Right. So to your
yeah,
point about, not really like
yeah,
putting too much
yeah.
energy of your own, autonomy into something like LinkedIn, everybody's polishing that anyhow,
Right,
right?
right.
So there's a fair amount of fiction to what you read on
Yeah,
LinkedIn. So I actually like that. I mean, that's subtle. I mean,
yeah.
sometimes I almost feel like it's a obligation that, oh my goodness, these are all my ecosystem partners. I'm obligated to go like. And then I think in hindsight, like, what's the real value of that? I'm
Yeah,
not really helping anything by just adding to the noise, but
yeah, yeah,
um
yeah, I get it.
that's just great advice.
Yeah,
So you said something earlier, if that opportunity presents itself, you owe it to the universe to go out
yeah,
and snatch it, go
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
I alluded to earlier, one of those things that you just grasped, you reached for, and you got
Yeah.
was the Bold Path Fellowship,
Yep.
ECMC. And
Mm.
I want to take a moment just to give them a plug for having the vision, right? This is a large private foundation, national focus. They're not even located a headquarter here. They have key personnel
Mhm.
who's we're very blessed to be working with that do live here. But, you know, again, without leading the witness or putting words into your mouth, what was it about the opportunity that you looked at and said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm going to throw an application and I'm going to fight for that."
Yeah. Honestly, I really have to say, the funding is definitely going to push the needle for us, but one of the biggest things is just really the relationships that we'll be able to build over those 2 years, right? The fellowship comes with 2 years of mentorship, and really not just giving us funding to, continue to build out STEM Plug, but actually being a partner for us, right? Even through, I've built great relationships with everyone at NC Idea, but I've started to get to know other people at the ECMC fund as well, right? And they're already looking at how they can open up doors for me in other different ways, right? So really, just those relationships where I see that it's going to allow us to push the needle in different areas and help us, like I said, going back to understand things that we may not understand. Right? How could we be able to continue just to lean into that support? One of the other things that I'm really excited for is just to really to build in Durham, right? To have that opportunity to now be, also working out of Durham for 2 years. Durham is rich in entrepreneurial history. So I'm really excited to, continue to build STEM Plug and really be a partner and a piece of the puzzle of everything that's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, not just building generically, so to speak, in Durham. I
Mm,
mean, you with this 2-year fellowship, you've got space right here. The studio we're recording in right now
mm,
is in the Provident 1898 space.
mm-hmm.
They are our landlord and ecosystem partner on the ECMC Bold Path Fellowship. So it's again, as we say, this thing of ours, right? We're all part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you were told, as we tell every grantee when you got the award, you're in the family now.
Yeah.
And I know I don't have to mention this to you, but I always like to remind everybody, we're catching you. We have the privilege of working with you and supporting you at an inflection point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The story of rich novated Gilliam
Yeah.
is being still written,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt it's going to be a wild success. And when those later chapters get written and
Yeah.
you are that wild success, I only ask, like, the little people that were back here giving you a hand up at the time,
Yeah.
maybe remember it and do a little pay it back forward,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And again, that's, I think, goes without saying for most founders and entrepreneurs, especially the ones that understand what they've extracted from the ecosystem
Yeah.
on their way up. They're some of the most generous people you'll ever find. Everybody does support each
Yeah.
other here.
I agree.
And I think it's part of the secret sauce that we have, in North Carolina writ large. Um, through our portfolio, we're making that connections well beyond the triangle as
Mm-hmm.
well. So, with that being said, there's a certain dynamic when you've chosen to take your family on this entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not too personal,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, for
how have
sure.
you and your wife kind of thought about that? And as it relates to your family and your
Yeah.
child, like,
Yeah. It's I think it all starts with confidence, right? Me as the head, I always install that confidence and show my wife that confidence, and installs in her as COO, and just that belief, right? And also going back to my background as an engineer, thinking in systems, right? So as we're continuing to build, even for me, um, I was building STEM Plug when I was still an engineer be honest. I didn't, I like to call it a micro entrepreneur, where I was still building while I was working corporately, and continuing to the goal of that this can be something that I can do fully, right? But my wife continuing to see those wins that we had over the years and really installing that confidence and really just seeing one of the biggest things I would say that is important is we lead with impact, right? So before revenue was coming out, before awards were coming, before grants were coming, we were able to make impact back in 2022 when we first started the company. So keep following that impact. That is the confidence that comes to us like, okay, this is bigger than us. Everything else is going to come around it.
So what's next? What's like in the immediate future for STEM Plug? Any
Yeah.
big initiative projects on the horizon?
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you asked that. So one of the biggest things that is kind of going on with STEM Plug of late, over the past year, we've had our Hydrobot robot that we've done a lot of programs with organizations and schools and after schools where we go through the engineering design process and kids building robots as well as educators. And then we have, of course, curriculum and books that are attached to that. One of our newest things is now we're releasing more curriculum that is connected to our robotics. So now we have our STEM solvers, which is I don't know if you ever seen Magic School Bus, but you could say the STEM solvers are the modern day Magic School Bus, where there's 10 different characters and they all have different personalities, and the teacher in the book helps them explore their imagination and really relate it to emerging technology, such as maybe robotics. So we're actually prepping for a statewide tour where we'll be going all around the state with our robotics and our books. So we're prepping for that in the fall. We also have a lot of information that is around curriculum that will be coming out. I can't give the exact title of the name of the curriculum, but it'll be dropping soon.
Ooh, a cliffhanger.
But this is going to be built actually a lot for I would say our customer segments that we really work with. So when I say customer segments, we work in different areas, such as whether it's on the consumer lens of with parents, or whether it's the after school programs, or even like superintendents. We wanted to really now build out messaging and curriculum that can really correlate and help them see how STEM isn't just something that they're learning, it's something called STEM lit that they're actually doing. And when I say STEM lit is a acronym that we like to use where the learning is being transcribed by your everyday life, right? So you're not just learning particularly STEM, just the context of STEM, but how is that maybe that hands-on learning that you're doing correlated in context into the everyday life that you're having?
All right. So we've already established, you won the micro,
Yeah.
and most people that apply for micro, and it's part of the criteria for us in evaluating an application, is that we hope the business builds, right? And you matriculate into being a competitive applicant for seed.
Yeah.
I can't say this with a straight face because I happen to know you applied for seed.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead, if you're willing, can you share with the listeners and the viewers, what applying for seed? Now, again, micro's $10,000 grant,
Mhm.
and a seed is a $50,000 grant.
Yep.
And just for the sake of anybody that may not be familiar with our programs, this is free money.
Yep.
The formal word is non-dilutive funding,
Yeah.
which is just the fancy way of saying it's free money. So
Yeah.
in our defense, if any one of us were like to go walk out on the corner of the road and start handing out $100 bills for free,
Yeah.
you get a line pretty quickly. So we get a lot of applicants. We get way more, frankly, deserving applicants than we have money to fund.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying that preemptively because I know a part of your seed application story. So
Yeah.
why don't I turn that over to you to share?
Yeah. Nah, for sure. So I think this is really important for entrepreneurs to understand and founders to know of it's a journey, right? And you got to keep taking shots. So for us, we made it to the seed semifinalists. We didn't, make it to the finalists this year. But we got some amazing feedback. And I'm definitely going to be working on that feedback, remaining coachable, and really pushing on that. The next 4 months is really aligned with things that we're doing currently. So I was really, appreciative of the feedback, right? Because one of the biggest things I would say as an entrepreneur, when you're early stage entrepreneur, you're applying to a lot of different things, right?
Sure.
And sometimes for me, like I laugh and giggle because like people see the wins, right? But I always think in my head, I was like, if you knew how many emails that I got that start off with saying, this was such a competitive cycle, we such and such and such, how many emails I got like that? It's like, but you can't let that tear you down. You have to take that as an opportunity and know that, okay, I got to just keep doing push-ups. Let me get back in the gym. And this may not be my time, right? I'm heavy on, this may be an opportunity for someone else. That's how I really look at it, right? I can give you a perfect example. In 2025, I did a lot of pitch competitions in 2025. But I remember there was a pitch competition that I did in Chicago, and the top prize was $5,000. I flew all the way out there, actually with my mom, and I didn't win. And I thought I was going to win. I brought the robot with us. I had the Hydrobot with us. I did a demo. I was the only one with a physical product. And I was really upset that I didn't win. But I had to take a couple moments. And I was like, you know what? This wasn't my time. This was for somebody else. The next month, I won a pitch competition at UNC for $25,000. And I didn't even know that was going to be the prize. Like, so I say all that to say is like mindset is so key of being an entrepreneur as a CEO, a founder. You have to have that emotional intelligence. You have to have that mindset because that is what's going to continue to drive you when things may not go your way. So,
I can't think of a better way to end this episode than what
yeah,
you just said. That is
yeah,
so important. It is such great advice. It's nutritional value. It's good calories. That's
yeah,
what I like to say,
yeah,
right?
for
You
sure.
use the gym metaphor, so I'm going to jump on that.
Yeah,
The mindset and the resilience that goes with that. The successful entrepreneurs have that for days,
mm-hmm,
and they don't take things and setbacks personally, right?
mm-hmm,
You've been in the process. You've been in the room where the decisions are getting made.
yeah,
There's nothing personal about the process.
yeah,
And let me say, as I have before, we will not get it right all the time. And there are more worthy applicants than we have funding. So
yeah,
there will be every cycle, there will be disappointed people that probably deserve to be funded,
yeah,
right? That's just the reality of our limitations. And trust me, that's something that keeps me up at night because if we had more resources, we could triple, quadruple, maybe even quintuple our output.
yeah,
But we can't do that and then stay in business for more than a couple of years. I mean, we could do it for
yeah,
2, 3 years. That would be called a burn down, where we just basically spend ourselves out of existence. But anytime I've brought that up, nobody gets excited about us not being here in 3 years or 4 years. So
yeah,
we have to make hard choices sometimes.
yeah,
And one of these times, it'll be your time,
yeah,
right? As you
yeah,
just said. So I want to thank you
yeah.
for
Thank you.
being, just a great colleague for the time you were a fellow,
Yep.
for now being a great grantee, for being a great participant in the Bold Path initiative, for being an inspiration to others.
Appreciate it.
I haven't known you very long, but what I do know of you, you're also a really humble guy.
Yeah,
And what I think a lot of people like you don't understand is you're inspiring people that you don't even know,
yeah,
right? And for people that, need to see it to be it,
yeah,
you are doing more good in the ecosystem than you're probably aware. and just
Appreciate that.
continuing to be your best and being successful will do more good, in our ecosystem, in our community, and in serving humanity than you will ever know. So thank you for what you do.
I
And
appreciate that.
I just can't wait to see what's ahead for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yep, we gotta keep going, keep plugging in. I
That you do.
appreciate it. Yep.
With that, dear viewers, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. As usual, if you have ideas for guests or topics, please let us know. You can find it anywhere you stream your podcasts. And until next time.
Stay connected with NC Idea on LinkedIn and Facebook. Subscribe to our newsletter for all the latest. Catch new episodes of Ecosysteming every other Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of this thing of ours.